Welcome to Buckeyes Tomorrow Morning for Friday, February 3rd. I'm your host, Tom Orr. The Indiana game is in 211 days. The game against Michigan in 295 days. Today we get to do the kind of show we haven't got to do in a little while because we have not gotten to talk to Ryan Day and a whole bunch of Ohio State assistants in quite a while, since the Peach Bowl, in fact. But this week we got a chance to do that. So today you're going to be getting a chance to hear directly from Ryan Day on a whole bunch of topics. We talked to him for an hour. This is just a few of the more interesting things we heard from Day. You're going to be hearing about a whole bunch of different topics about this upcoming season and some changes that are going to be coming to the program. But first, we needed to kind of put a bow on the 2022 season and the sort of controversial end to that season. Day was asked about the targeting call that was not a targeting call on Marvin Harrison at the end of that Peach Bowl. Really kind of swung the game a little bit. In the start of this is kind of funny because the reporter asked him about it. This is the first time we've gotten to talk to Day since that night of that game. And so the first time he's gotten to talk about it after he got a chance to watch the video and all of that. So this is why this question is being asked right now. And Day's answer is kind of funny because you will hear him start by turning to Sports Information Director Jerry Emig and basically saying, "Can I answer this question?" And the answer he got was in the affirmative. So yes, here is Ryan Day's answer on what happened on that targeting call, what he saw, and has he talked to anyone about that call since it happened?
Can I say something?
Don't get in trouble. I've tried to pursue it and can't get a straight answer from anybody about it. No one will even talk about it. So
yeah,
this is the championship of your sport, and there's no transparency.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I made a lot of calls after the game. I felt like it was targeting in the moment, and when things are moving fast and you can't see the replay, it's very hard to see. The hard thing for me is to see and understand that and tell, have our medical staff let us know that he was knocked unconscious, and that's why we're not going to put him back in the game. Yet the flag gets picked up for targeting. I spoke with the officials in the Big Ten and had a great conversation with Bill. I then called at the Pac-12 to find out an explanation there. The explanation that was told to me was that it wasn't forcible enough. I then asked to speak with the head of the officials, Steve Shaw. He explained to me that the hit didn't go right to Marvin's head, that it was not a force, or it wasn't a shot right on his head. It was to the shoulder. I completely disagree with that, but that was the decision that was made, and those are the two explanations I was given.
So that kind of puts a bow on the end of the 2022 season. Now let's look ahead to 2023. And one of the very big topics of conversation with Day this week, and it's going to be a very big topic of conversation probably all spring and into the fall, is the idea that he may be giving up play calling. That was something he floated to Kirk Herbstreit around the time of the Peach Bowl, and Herbstreit kind of reported it on ESPN, and then we haven't really got a chance to ask about it. So this week, we got a chance to ask about it. What's the plan there with potentially Ryan Day turning over play calling duties to the new offensive coordinator, Brian Hartline?
What we're going to do is go through the spring, talk to Brian about that, and create some environments where we can call it, have Jim call it, have an opportunity for Brian to call it. And then we'll come up for air at the end of the spring and kind of figure out what that dynamic looks like going into the preseason and then to obviously the season. So we won't decide on any of that now, but certainly give him an opportunity to kind of call it this spring and see how that goes.
Why is Day more open to doing that now? What has changed that he's maybe more willing to think about handing over those play calling responsibilities now than he maybe was in the past?
Yeah, I think when year after year, you sit down and you evaluate everything in the program, and certainly evaluate where college football is and demands of the job the way it is now, as opposed to 2 years ago, 4 years ago, and then as we started. But, and have to look at time management. I think that during the season or during the off season, no problem at all. Beginning of the season, pretty good. As we get to the middle of the season, end of the season, I feel like there's times where I have to, manage my time a little bit better and make sure that, as a head coach, there's enough presence going around the building late in the season. And so trying to figure out how to best remedy that, just making sure that I'm evaluating myself as the head coach the right way. And there's a lot of different things that are changing on a daily basis. And so, whether that's giving up the play calling and letting Brian do it or not, We'll decide that here in the next few months, probably. But just trying to figure out how to do a better job of that.
All right. So if he's going to turn over play calling duties to someone, what made Brian Hartline the guy that he wanted to have in that offensive coordinator role?
First off, I think Brian has done a great job in his football career of, you follow all the way through in high school. Then he comes to Ohio State, plays at a high level, then goes on to the NFL, and not only has an NFL career, but a sustained NFL career, and maximized himself. Then he comes in, steps into a situation here where he gets thrust into the wide receiver role, does an excellent job, has now really, in my opinion, done a job of solidifying himself as the best wide receiver coach in the country. And I think that's important as a coach, is to get really good at something, be an expert at something. And because of that, in his recruiting and his development of that wide receiver room, you've seen his development. Now this year, he took on the role as a pass game coordinator and challenged them about protections, challenged them about even learning about the run game. And I thought he did a great job of that as well. So his recruiting is certainly important, understanding Ohio State. He loves Ohio State. He's going to, be able to now recruit the whole entire offensive, room and recruiting class. But also just, his knowledge of offensive football is excellent. And now he's got an opportunity to take that next step in his progression. I think that's natural for him. But I also feel comfortable because I think we have a good staff in there. I think Justin Fry, as the run game coordinator, will do an excellent job in there. And that's a very important job, to be able to put together the run game, put together the protections, and tie those two things together. So I know with the two of those guys, and I'm also still going to be very much involved with it. I'm going to be in there every day, and we'll figure out how that shakes out. But we're going to have to replace Kevin, and Kevin was very strong in that area. But I think Justin Fry's got an opportunity to be the best O-line coach in America. You can see what he did this year in his development. So, and then the rest of that room is really strong. So I think that's where, I felt comfortable, and I felt like it was the right progression for Brian.
The transfer portal has been a very big topic this offseason. They've added a bunch of guys to the portal. They've actually added 5 guys. You're going to hear him talk about 4. That's because the most recent one, cornerback Davison Igbinosun, is not officially signed yet, not officially on the roster. So under NCAA rules, Day can't talk about him. But you will hear him talk about the other 4 guys they've added through the portal: Jihad Carter, Victor Cutler, John Froman, and Tristan Gebbia.
Yeah, I think there's 2 different windows. The first window there. And so I guess we added, 5 guys there in different areas. And I think, it's been pretty clear that when we bring guys in and, from the transfer portal, it's to fill needs. We're not just bringing guys in to bring guys in. So all of these guys fill a need for us. First off, Jihad Carter comes in at safety. We're now in that 3 safety system. We want to make sure that we have the right numbers there. Jihad has stepped right in right off the bat and done a nice job. And so we're looking forward to seeing him on the field this spring. Victor Cutler, having Luke Whippler declare we needed another guy, especially inside. So, looking forward to see what he can do this spring. John Froman comes in as a long snapper since, Brad graduated after a nice long career and a very productive career here. So he, again, fills a need. And then Tristan Gebbia comes in a unique situation where, we always want to have 4 quarterbacks on the roster here. That's not easy to do in today's day and age. Tristan has played in a rivalry game out there, Oregon versus Oregon State, did a nice job there. He has shared with us that he wants to be a GA and a coach, and felt like coming here was an opportunity to build his network, but also provide some depth and be able to possibly, help in that room. Now he's coming in with the mindset that, if he gets on the field, he's ready to go, but thought he was really a great addition to the room and can help mentor some of those young guys in there.
One more storyline you're going to probably be hearing a bunch about this year, and you're definitely going to hear about it right now, is the battle for the starting quarterback job at Ohio State. Now, that is between a former 5-star in Kyle McCord and a former 5-star in Devin Brown. So, in addition to the fact that both are just kind of very talented quarterbacks, what makes each of those guys difficult competition for the other one as they try to sort this out?
I'm excited to see these 2 guys compete. What an unbelievable opportunity for both of them. When you look at the guys that are surrounding and the cast that's surrounding them, you couldn't be more excited to be a quarterback right now, I would think, in college football. So Kyle's now going into year 3. Devin's going into year 2. So I'd say, Kyle has 1 more year of experience and has started 1 game. He's played in games more than Devin. but it's going to be a heck of a competition. You know, I'm really looking forward to seeing it. They both have a little bit of a different skill set. And it's going to be fun to watch them compete this spring.
Besides who is going to be the starter, and that is still very much up in the air, the next logical question is, when are we going to know? When are they going to have an idea who that next starter is? Are they going to have a decision after spring? Or are they going to try and wait until the fall? Is it better to know who's the starter coming out of spring in terms of leadership? Here was Day's answer on that.
You know, I don't know. I don't know where we'll be. You know, I hope that one of them emerges and we can name them a starter. I really do. Because I think the way that our dynamic is, I think, you know, it'd be great for our program to be able to do that. There was times in the past where, you know, I just didn't see that happening. I'm hoping that can happen. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But, you know, some vision on who the starter is coming out of the spring would be nice. So hoping that one of them emerges here in these 15 practices.
All right. And let's talk a little bit about those quarterbacks here. Where has Day seen growth out of Devin Brown as he enters his second year with the program?
Yeah, no, he's grown. He's done a good job. You know, it's hard when you're the backup, as you know, especially, you know, for Devin being the third, you're splitting sometimes the backup reps when you're trying to get CJ ready to go. The good news for both of them was in the bowl practice. There was a few days, I think CJ was down for a day. Then he went to the Heisman for a couple of days. So those guys were able to step up, and we had some really competitive practices in there. We were actually able to see those guys compete, and it was good to see. And I think at the end of the day, you know, both of them do, you know, things a little bit different, you know, in their skill sets. But the guy who's the leader, there's a lot of different ways to do it, and is competitively tough, is going to ultimately win the job.
And then, of course, the next logical question, it's the third year for Kyle McCord. Where has Day seen growth with him?
He's grown. And I think he's done a good job of it. His attitude's been excellent. You know, he's very hardworking. So now it's time to go put it on the field and compete.
And finally, all right, we have to talk about it. It's NIL. It's kind of the elephant in the room. So we're going to talk about it. Day talked about it a little bit this week. Is Ohio State falling behind in NIL? Because right now, when you talk to people around the country, everyone thinks they're falling behind in NIL. Everyone thinks that everyone else is ahead of them and they are desperately far behind. So how is Ryan Day adjusting to the new realities of the NIL world?
We're really situated in a great situation for NIL. You know, what I've been told is that, you know, in terms of legislative things coming down, we don't foresee a lot of change here in the near future. So I think when it first happened, nobody was too sure of how this was going to shake out. And, you know, in short order, people have handled it in different ways. I think our guys have done very, very well, but a little bit different in the recruiting area because there's different parts of NIL. There's your current team, there's the portal, and then there's the recruiting area. I think because it's going to be here for a while and it's not going anywhere, this is something that really has to be done well. It has to be built the right way. It's going to be a big business. And so, you know, in order to do something like that, it has to be done the right way. And certainly, you know, at Ohio State, you know, we're held to a very high standard. So there's a lot of people working hard towards that. I'm excited because I think that ultimately we're going to be in a really good place. But sometimes in order to do something, it takes a little bit longer. We're all urgent to get it done. But I am confident here, you know, over the next couple of months, we're going to have a really good plan together in place and have an opportunity to be one of the best in the country. Because when you combine everything that we have here, certainly we have an opportunity to be the best in the country.
Has Day had conversations with athletic director Gene Smith about what they should and shouldn't be doing as an organization, as a program, as an athletic department? And has this sort of been a frustrating process for Ryan Day as they sort of try to get all this stuff sorted out?
Yeah. Oh, trust me. Yeah, there's a lot of conversation about it. And there's frustration. There is. Anytime you're in a situation where, you know, things can get gray and you know, there's uncertainty, it creates a lot of hard feelings. But I think where we sit right now, we have a vision of where we want to be. And I think what the most important thing is that we go and do it now and put this plan together and then move forward. But yeah, to say over the last year, there hasn't been that type of, you know, angst. Yeah, I'd be lying. I mean, that there is that feeling. And the biggest thing I think we've done though is we've advocated for our guys. I think the guys that have come in this class love the product that Ohio State has to offer. And certainly NIL is a big part of it. And some of our guys are doing really good. The majority of our guys are doing very, very good. But it's also the product of Ohio State and what Ohio State has to offer in the city of Columbus, and our program and our development, and playing in the shoe, and just there's so many things that come with being an Ohio State Buckeye too that so many of these guys understand. And I think when you look at our class, that's going to show in the end that these guys really understand what that means. That being said, we're going to advocate like crazy and put this together so that we're able to take care of our guys the way that they deserve to be.
Well, there is a whole bunch more that we will talk about, I'm sure, in the coming days and weeks coming out of those interviews with Ryan Day, but of course also with all 10 of the on-field assistants, plus James Laurinaitis, plus Mark Pantoni. You're going to be hearing from a bunch of those guys over the next few weeks. We'll try and space those out. I know people really like these shows, but we do have to kind of do a little bit of the news of the day kind of stuff going as well. So we'll kind of mix these in the coming days, in the coming weeks, to kind of give you a sense for where things are, get a little into the nitty gritty with all the different position groups. So we'll have that to look forward to. And if you don't want to wait, we have written about a bunch of this stuff at BuckeyeHuddle.com. We're talking about a bunch of this stuff on the message board, on the huddle board at BuckeyeHuddle.com. You can sign up today, become a member, get access to all of that content, get access to all of our great deep dive recruiting content, all of our X's and O's schematic content. It's all great stuff. It's all at BuckeyeHuddle.com, so you can sign up today and become a member there. That will do it for today. Thank you guys all for joining us. Have a great day. We'll talk to you tomorrow.